What's going on, everyone? This is Jags Central, and I hope you're all doing well. The Jacksonville Jaguars 2024 season continues to find new lows as we are now 0-4. The team again failed to capitalize on the many opportunities that we had for victory, and we've come out short against the Texans 24-20. Today's matchup was a valiant effort from the Jags. I'll give them that. They came out to play much more competitive than the Week 3 Buffalo Bills demolition. However, none of that matters in the black and white world of wins and losses because we are now 0-4. We lost this game today, late drive from the Texans, where they scored a touchdown and that only left us 18 seconds for the Jags to get a touchdown. And now we haven't won a game since we beat Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers last season. And apart from that win, since our last win, apart from the Panthers, it's been over 300 days ago. And the next time we play is going to be in October, and that's going to be essentially 11 months since we've seen a win for Trevor Lawrence. Let's just get into the game, and I want to just start with the defense. Like, the defense came into the game depleted. We were missing our linebackers, we were missing our DBs. In the first half, CJ Stroud came out, and he was just cutting us up, finding his receivers, and not just finding them, he was finding them in huge space. You could just tell the gulf of difference between our depth for our linebackers and also the DBs. And it was kind of very, very tough to watch. And it was essentially just like watching a burst pipe and not having the tools to stop the water from coming out. It literally was just gushing. However, the defense stepped up in the second half. They forced 4 straight punts, but ultimately we just couldn't do it for a fifth time, which was essentially the key drive. And that was the one that killed us. But as depleted as they were, they played with a lot of effort, especially in the second half. But they were kind of supported as well by the Texans' penalties. I think they had over 10 penalties. I'm not sure whether it was 11 or 12, but they were self-sabotaging on offense where they were just having penalties after penalties after penalties. And the other killer was that we just couldn't force any takeaways. If I'm not mistaken, we haven't had a takeaway all season. If we count the special teams takeaway from today, then yes. But in general, the defense, I don't think they've had an interception or a fumble recovery or something. But the defense just has to step up. I know Ryan Nielsen is a new DC for the team, and I had high hopes for him coming in because what he did with Atlanta Falcons last season, I thought he's going to do something similar with the Jaguars, but we just haven't seen a great defense. I'm going to give him some more time, but how much more time do we have? We're 0-4, and getting into the playoffs is probably going to be very low chances now. But I just want to give him some time and see what he can do with the upcoming games that we have, because we've kind of had a tough 4 games to start the season. But let's see what he can do moving forward. Let's just get into the offense right now. They started pretty okay today. We kind of saw a change in approach from Doug, where Bigsby played a majority of the snaps over ETN, and he was balling out and he was playing lights out. Like I said in the preseason, he looked completely different. He looked sharper, he looked quicker, and he just looks like a much better player than we had last season. Because last season we picked him and we just thought that we could have a running back tandem between ETN and Tanks Bigsby. But then this season, it seems like ETN has taken a step back and Tanks Bigsby's the one playing well. So it's kind of annoying because we can't really establish a run game with just Tanks Bigsby at the moment, but he's playing really well. He had 7 carries today for 90 yards and he had 1 big gain for 60 yards and he averaged about 13 yards a carry. But Tanks Bigsby today and even the past few games, he's just been playing really well. You can see that spark in him. Kirk had a much better game today, had 7 catches for 61 yards and 1 TD. He could have had another touchdown and he could have went for over 100 yards total receiving yards today had Trevor Lawrence connected with him on that big play. But on that big play, literally it would have been a walking touchdown for Kirk, but an overthrow by Trevor Lawrence. But this isn't the first time that Trevor Lawrence has done that today, but even this season, he's overthrown receivers on big plays quite a lot of times. And this is the reason why we drafted Brian Thomas Jr., brought in Gabe Davis for these big plays. And if Trevor Lawrence is going to keep overthrowing them, what is the point? So Trevor Lawrence needs to get better at this. And I know this is something that he's probably kicking himself with, but we need to find a way to get these big plays, because these big plays are the ones that are going to get us into the red zone, get us easy points. Because right now, our offense, just watching it, it's a chore. We struggle to create offense. Even though today was much better, but it's still not good enough. And then just talking about Gabe Davis, he's had another quiet game. At the moment, I feel like he's kind of worse than Calvin Ridley. Like Calvin Ridley had an amazing first half against the Colts in week 1 last season, and then from then on we just didn't really see that much of Calvin Ridley, and it was just like underwhelming from what we had from Calvin Ridley. And at the moment, Gabe Davis is on that same trajectory as well. But Brian Thomas Jr., star of the offense, him and Trevor Lawrence are kind of strengthening their chemistry. He had 6 catches today for 86 yards. And essentially, Trevor Lawrence was basically going to him on third downs and key downs. And like any time that Trevor Lawrence needed to get out of trouble, he would go to Brian Thomas Jr. And one thing about Trevor Lawrence, I know they were saying it on the commentary as well, but when there's pressure coming from his left or his right, it's just the way he tries to escape from the pocket. Like he just does a spin move, and it's just like he just puts himself into more trouble by doing that spin move. But something needs to change with Trevor Lawrence when he senses pressure. Maybe step up in the pocket sometimes, or just find something different. I don't know what it is, but he just needs to do something different, because anytime the pressure's coming, Trevor Lawrence does not get away from the pressure. Like, even if you get away from it once or twice, it's like at least you can show you can get away with it. We're not expecting the quarterback to get away from every single pressure, but every single time, like the pressure, I feel like he runs into the pressure, or he even like makes it easier for the pressure to get to him. Let me just quickly recap the game. The opening kickoff, we start with we go 3 and out, and we punt the ball, and then the Texans muffed the punt, and the Jaguars recovered the ball on the 2-yard line. And the thing was, I was thinking, finally, special teams has got a turnover. Because one thing that I spoke about, I think it was either in the last video or the video before, where I said, even though the offense is not helping themselves, the defense and the special teams need to help the offense by giving them short fields. Because at the moment, or before that moment, Trevor Lawrence, all he was getting the ball was on the 20-yard line, and then saying, all right, cool, move up the field. But at the moment, at that moment, I was thinking, oh, cool, amazing. And I was thinking, we better punch this ball in, and we did. Like, Brian Thomas Jr. secures it in a play-action pass, and the Jaguars go up 7-0. And then now the Texans respond, and we give up a touchdown on our first drive again. And the Jaguars go the Texans score a touchdown, and now it's 7-7. The Jaguars drive up and get a field goal, and I'm thinking, all right, cool, this is looking good for them, the offense, because we've had essentially two drives, and we have scored on both drives. And then now we finally get a 3 and out. I was so shocked when we got this 3 and out. And then from there, we punt the ball back to the Texans, and the Texans go 12-play, 74-yard drive. The defense just could not stop CJ Stroud. Nico Collins gets a touchdown, and the Texans go up 14-10. We come back out, get into field goal range, and Cam Little hits a 52-yarder, and now it's 13-14 Texans. But the good thing is, like I said in preseason, when I saw Cam Little's ability to kick field goals from 50 plus, it gives us that different element. Like, we know that, all right, cool, if we get it into his range of 50 yards, we don't really have to force getting a touchdown. We can settle for the field goal and live to play another drive. And then, so then the Texans come back, and then they extend their lead with a field goal, and now they're up 17-13, and this is just before halftime. And at halftime, CJ Stroud was 15 for 19, cutting up our defense, had 215 yards. Trevor Lawrence was okay, had 11 for 17, only 82 yards, but we were still in the game, and I felt like if the defense starts to get some stops and the offense can carry on the way they're playing, that we could definitely win this game. And then now, second half, the Jaguars come out and get a stop on the Texans, and we get a quick 3 and out. We punt the ball back, and this is the two deep opportunities I'm talking about from Trevor Lawrence. One to Brian Thomas Jr., I think it was, and then the other one was to Kirk. And then we have to punt the ball back, and then we get the ball back at where the defense gets another stop, and then this time we get into the end zone with Christian Kirk, 8-yard touchdown, and now we're up 20-17. So this is our second lead of the game, and now we're going to the end of the third quarter. and we get the Texans to pump back the ball again. So now we're in the fourth quarter, and this is where I really think this was the place where we should have won the game. We get that big play from Tanks Bigsby where he runs for 60 yards, and we get on the 3 or 4 yard line. He gets into the end zone, but he stepped out before he got into the end zone. And then now, instead of maybe switching running backs, bringing in ETN, or going for a pass to give Tanks Bigsby a chance, we go for 2 runs with Tanks Bigsby where he's just ran 20 yards. Like, how are we going for 2 runs immediately for a running back who's just had a 60-yard run? Like, I just don't understand it. But I just wanted to know what you guys thought of the play calling on that red zone trip after the Bigsby run for 60 yards. And then on 3rd down, we hit Kirk in the face. All right, cool. And now Doug Peterson goes for 4th down. For me, at this moment, I was thinking, you know what? I understand going for it on 4th down because the defense is depleted. We can't really stop the Texans. But even though we've just stopped them a few times right now, I was thinking, if we get a touchdown, we go up 2 scores, and essentially I think that the team can win the game. But then I was thinking, you know what? Let's just take the 3. And hindsight is 20/20. Because now, had we taken the 3, the next drive, we stopped the Texans. So they punt again. So now we're up 6. So now we don't have to play for the touchdown. We're in the 4th quarter. We get into field goal range, and we know Cam Little's field goal range can go up to 55. And we get the field goal, we can go up 9. And that's 2 scores in the 4th quarter, in the second half of the 4th quarter. And we make it a 2-score game. And right then I was thinking we should have just went for the field goal because the defense started to stop CJ Stroud, but we didn't. We went for 4th down, and we went empty, and we went for a QB draw, and Trevor Lawrence is stopped because the O-line couldn't block for him. And then we get the ball back one last time, So this is before the Texans touchdown, and we only keep the ball. We only took 43 seconds off the clock. We could have taken a bit more off the clock, so the Texans had to. We give the Texans less time to get a touchdown, so they kind of have to rush, and if they rush, they would probably get a field goal. But what do? We only took 43 seconds off the clock. We give the ball back to Texans. Now they have over 2 minutes to basically get a touchdown, and that was basically enough for them to get the touchdown. And they leave us 18 seconds to get to respond with a touchdown, and that isn't going to happen. And they win the game. But yeah, the go-ahead touchdown was scored by Dare Agumbawale. I just didn't want to get that name wrong. And that was the game. And the Texans won 24-20. But right now, who do we blame for this loss? Like, is it on Trevor Lawrence? Is it on the defense that can't get a turnover or get a stop on 3rd down or even get pressure? We got one huge sack today on 3rd down. The offense played okay today, especially in the first half, but the second half we played pretty awful. Defense played atrocious in the first half, but good in the second half. The team basically lost this game. And I also wanted to know is why did Tanks Bigsby not play in the 4th quarter? Like, why did he not touch the ball? Why did we not run with him in the 4th quarter? I just don't understand it, because that's on the play calling as well. I just want to know, what are your thoughts from tonight's game? Like who surprised you the most? Who are you most disappointed in? Just let it out all in the comments. But yeah, it was good to see the team play better. But at the end of the day, we're 0-4. And yeah, but we've got the Colts next week, and then we've got 2 games in London. Maybe we win those 3 games and we're 3-4, and then we're close enough to 500. But at the moment, the way we're playing and the way the Colts won today, it's not looking good. But yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next video.